Hey, it's time for my first mini cut update. So I'm back in my hat because my hair is still an absolute mess. Really hoping on Thursday lockdown moves into phase two, and hoping that means hairdressers or barbers so I can go get an actual haircut and not have this ridiculous mop on my head. So I'm going to switch you on screen. I'm going to show you my check-in sheet and just walk you through basically.
Right, we're back. Laptop screen. So as you see, I've got my check-in sheet here. This is what all my clients fill in on a weekly basis that I give them feedback on. We then make adjustments and amendments to whatever they need to do based on that. So I'm doing the same here. I didn't actually, I'm going to be honest, I didn't fill out the sheet initially. I've just kind of updated it today. So it is something I'm going to start doing properly from this week 3 of this mini cut. And the reason being is just an accountability perspective. I've been well aware of my energy levels, my mood, stress, and sleep all the way through this process so far. So it's not something I felt like I need to keep a proper track of. But I think from now, I just want that accountability, and it's just a lot easier to read and interpret the data because it's there and it's raw. It's from what the day you. It's from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever day it is. It's inputted from that day rather than me trying to think back to, or as this gets further and further down the line, trying to think back to how did I feel on week one with this and this, because you're not going to remember. So it just gives me somewhere to store this data from now, which is going to be important. So what we're looking at, it looks like a lot of boxes. There's actually not too much data to fill in. It's quite simple. So at the moment, I've put my calories for week one, week two, and so far on week three. Missed Monday. Don't even know how. Put my hunger levels, put in what training I done, and then kind of cardio or other activity. So let's walk through it step by step. So I actually started, if I scroll up a wee bit, my starting weight was 104, 104.2, around that marker. And then when I take you through, obviously in the initial video, the very first one, I set my calorie target at 2,200. So I've been a wee bit over, and again, being completely honest, there was a couple of days where I finished tracking my calories, but I picked at things. So this will probably be an average of 2,300, say, so about 100 calories over where I wanted to. As you'll see, as I started off, it was fine, and then on Wednesday my hunger spiked. I predicted it to happen. To be honest, anytime I've dieted previously, when I make a change to my calories and drop them, my hunger is there for a full week or most of the week. Then it tends to diminish and normalize just as my body adapts to the new calorie intake. So this was to be expected. How did I handle it? I didn't really. Because I expected it. I knew that was kind of normal for me, so I knew I didn't need to eat more. It was just the time it took for my body to adapt. Even though here, like I had higher calories and stuff, but when you look at the average, it's not too bad for the first week. Again, not perfect, but I'm very much. I was just looking for progress. It was starting week one. I've gone in. I set out the target of going into an aggressive mini cut. Um, Calories are fine. Could be a wee bit lower. But where I really kind of didn't do as well as I should have is probably with training. There was a third session and I just couldn't remember when it is, which is why I'm starting to fill this out properly now. So I can just have all the information there as and when it happens. And basically, my motivation for training, I've trained all the way through lockdown. So this is week, 13, 12, 13. And I've trained 5 days a week all the way through that. But now my motivations just start to dwindle a wee bit, and I'm really struggling to motivate myself to actually get up and train. And it's not because I don't want to meet my goal or anything like that. It's just I'm really sick of home workouts and doing the same movements over and over. And it's very much even the setup and using the 40 kilo dumbbells I have. Like I have to get Rebecca to help me and pass me them and things like that for certain movements. So it's quite a hassle, to be honest. Again, not that that's an excuse. I should have just got training done regardless, which, again, when we move into week 2, I got 4 sessions in, and I think this week I'll be on track to get the full 5. But I've just been struggling with the motivation. It's not even the fact that I've not wanted to train, it's just actually the hassle of doing it more so than anything else, which sounds awful, but it's just honest as well. Like, I've hit 5 sessions each week all the way through lockdown without fail, and then typically when I start dieting, I'm just kind of really sick of home training and doing the same movements over and over because I don't have much equipment, so I'm very limited on what I can do, um, and I'm just a bit bored of it, to be honest. But nonetheless, I'll crack on. I'll improve each week. I'll be back to 5 training sessions this week. So again, not an issue and an easy one to fix. So if we look at now weight, so I did hit pretty much the target calories. I was a wee bit higher, but regardless of that, I played golf, one round of golf as well. I've not tracked any steps. My steps have been minimal, so they've not been worth tracking, to be honest. I like to put my Fitbit on charge yesterday, so I'll be tracking them from then on, and I'm going to set myself a step target. I've kind of gone in early with the do is the minimal amount to try and get the maximum gain, which has only really worked because I know my body, I know what my calorie needs are, even with the lower activity. I know all these things from the past. Um, my energy levels have all been good, my mood's been good, stress has been low. I've muscle soreness hasn't been too bad, more than recoverable. Sleep's been spot on. I sleep about 8 hours a night at the moment. Um, I don't wake up at all. So like I know all these factors, I've just not put them on the sheet. Strength and performance has been good when I have trained, probably because I've only trained 3 times this week, to be fair. Motivation's obviously been a bit low, cardio has been non-existent, and step has been non-existent. But I know all these things. And thankfully, because I know all these things, I was able to see a loss in the first week. So pretty much I dropped a kilo. Great, perfect. That's what we wanted. Moving on to week 2, again, was better with my calories. What I did realize when I track, I have a really bad habit of I'll track everything until dinner, and I'll track dinner, and then I'll kind of track snacks after. But those like last 200 calories worth of snacks, where I've got like 2,000 and I've got space for 200 calories, I have a really bad habit of not tracking them. So again, some of these values are possibly slightly over. So this is possibly, let's say, closer to not quite as much as 2,300, but in the high, maybe mid to high 2,200s. Hunger regulated, it was normal. The only kind of day I was super hungry was the same day I played golf, and that I didn't train that day. That was a different day. That was, yeah, doesn't matter. The day I played golf, and that again, second time playing golf, and it just burst me. I was knackered. It's my first scored round, and you must be doing about 10,000 steps on a golf course at least, as well as carrying clubs around the whole time, then actually striking the ball and stuff, which is a very powerful movement. So again, I hadn't eaten too much at the day in terms of food volume because I had to eat my lunch on the course. So it was literally a chicken pitta. So the volume of food I ate wasn't high. Calories were about normal for that point of the day. So I was just starving by the time I got back after that. So sounds maybe a bit generous, maybe a 6, but it was just in the evening now my hunger really spiked, but that's because I hadn't eaten. And then so I got a barburrito, but I tracked it and it worked. And then that was actually one of the days that was dead on calorie wise. And I was very much dead on the actual 2,200 as well, despite eating a barburito. So you can eat things that you enjoy. It's just making them fit into your calorie requirements. A lot easier for men than women, unfortunately for you. But thankfully, I don't need to worry about that. But again, you can still make it work. It's just making smart decisions. And like, as a female, if I want a barburito and my calorie requirements were a lot lower, I'd really focus on reducing the higher calorie contents that are in a burrito. So you could go. That's why they've got like you get the burrito bowl instead. So it takes away the wrap. That's around 200 calories. Um, cheese, rice, avocado, probably sour cream, all those things, but higher in calories. Manage what you have. Maybe don't have them all. Things like that can make it easy to manage what you eat and still eat what you want. And it's just portion controlling as well as actually ingredient controlling. Energy levels and mood were very much the same this week. Nothing much has changed. Stress again, nothing much has changed. It's been a pretty normal week. This was last week, sorry. Um, Again, hunger was a lot more regular, and as you can see by just sticking to my calories a lot closer. Again, still not perfect, but if what last week showed is I had a wee bit of room to work with. This week, again, sleep was the same. Didn't wake up. Slept about 7, 8 hours each night. And then fit 4 resistance training sessions in this time. Went to the driving range and played around the golf. I know the driving range is very static, but again, still constantly hitting 100 golf balls, I think it was. So again, it's still energy expended. And then from what we see that, all into account, another kilo drop. Sorry, almost 2 kilos, kilo and a half, let's call it. So again, another kilo and a half drops from, and looking back at last week, one more weight session and a session at the driving range, and then calories just being a bit more towards the actual starting point that I wanted to be at. So again, I've made progress without being perfect. There's not a need to be yet, but you still want to almost strive for being bang on with everything because that's what's going to get you the best results in the most efficient manner. I've just been a wee bit lazy with it, to be honest. But again, I know my body. I know I've dieted before for my photo shoot. I know how my body reacts to certain things. So because I've got that knowledge, I knew I could be a wee bit more relaxed with certain things. But again, I've still tracked most of the data. It's just not on the sheet, and there's not too much to change. So now, kind of like if I was giving my weigh-ins for week 3, I don't know what happened on Monday. I don't know if I just slept the whole day or so. I've just completely missed it. So now we're seeing kind of if we look at the last few weigh-ins, kind of 101.3, 101, 101.5, around those numbers, and 101.1, 101.4. So it seems it's like it's starting to stagnate a wee bit. And if I pull up on my FitnessPal graph, we'll see that. So again, got a gradual drop, quite a big drop, and now we're just getting that leveling off. That doesn't mean we need to make changes right away. I'm going to see how this week goes, and I'll maybe do the stick with next week as well, and then I'll make an adjustment if it's needed. The reason for that is because on scale weight alone, it's not going to it doesn't show all the variables. It's not just fat loss, it's not just weight loss. There's so many other variables. How much food's in your digestive system, you need to go to the toilet, like all these other things. So it's not just because weight starts to plateau doesn't mean fat isn't dropping off. It just means the scales haven't shown it yet. And I think I mentioned it in the first video. I tend to lose in quite a level off, then a drop, then a level off, then a drop kind of manner. So I tend to get quite a lot of plateaus, but it's not actually my fat loss plateauing. It's just my weight sits at a certain weight for a while, then I'll get a decent drop. And that was very common for me in my photo shoot preps. So that's another reason I'm actually better just holding off making any decisions. And really, over the first 2 weeks, I've dropped a kilo there and a kilo and a half there. So really, like this average so far is actually still down almost half a kilo. So is it that bad? No. So there's not a need to make a change. Let's see how the rest of this week runs, probably the rest of next week. And then if I need to, I'll make an adaptation based on that. So finally, let's look at some progress photos. So these are from week 1 to week 3. It's just one. It's the side shot. Again, I've not gone too crazy on progress photos. It would help if we could find them. Interesting. Right, here they are, or here it is. So again, what 2.5 kilo drop in 2 weeks and counting. Um, Nothing too crazy. The lighting's a wee bit different in the photos, so it makes it harder to be like, oh, that's that and that's that. However, the obvious areas, chest seems like lost a wee bit in the chest, around the ribs and stomach started pulling in, so waist started pulling in. Lower abs is where I lose the slowest. My hope, to be fair, I lean out a lot faster on my back than I do my front, but nonetheless, we can still see solid progress here. Even around my back, there is a bit. It is leaner. Again, there's a shadow here just because of the different light, and this lighting's a lot better, so it's harder to see. But a few just lines creeping in, nothing crazy. I can see a wee bit more definition through the line here. It is still there on the legs. But again, in terms of size loss from muscle, doesn't look like there's any, to be honest. You can never guarantee it, but I've eaten more than enough protein. I've trained, yeah, maybe not as much as I should, but enough to that I'm stimulating the muscles to retain muscle mass. Um, so again, nothing crazy, but the progress is there. You can even see just back. The lines are just a wee bit smoother. There's not as much of an aggressive curvature from body fat. So again, main loss is just around the waist so far. A wee bit on the back. I'll get more progress photos next update. But again, it's happening. And although there's still places I can improve on, we're still seeing progress despite those. So when I this week just implement everything that wee bit better and train 5 times, and if I get out for more steps and these things, I should just see even more results. And I've not even changed anything yet. Again, as I said, I'm not going to change anything for definitely not this week, probably not next week either. I'll just fine tune all the things I've spoken about. So I'll increase my steps a bit. That's probably the change I'll make. So I'll try and do maybe 5,000 a day. Again, there's not an inherent need to do it yet, but I will definitely need to at some point. So I kind of want to get ahead of the curve, just to see that continued fat loss and just to try and get there a wee bit quicker. But is it necessary? Not at this point. Will it help? Yeah, probably. But again, I don't want to throw everything at once into it and then I have nowhere to go when I properly do plateau, because I've technically not plateaued so far since we have still got a drop from week 2 to week 3. And yeah, we're only in the beginning of week 3, but again, we're still on that downward trend overall, hence why we take averages. And it's all looking good so far.
So that is the update so far. Solid progress. I'm happy with it. Could it be better? Yeah, probably. But again, I've kind of put in minimal effort. Whereas if I start putting in just that wee bit more effort, just fine tuning my calories, so I'm definitely down at 2,200 and making sure I've tracked everything and getting out of that bad habit. If I just get a bit more steps in and increase my activity a bit more, and I make sure I get my 5 training sessions in instead of 3 or 4, I should still see continued progress. And that's the main thing. As long as I'm making progress and I know where I can tweak it, that's the most important. That's all from me today. I'll leave it there. Please, if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe. If you're watching on Instagram, give me a follow. I'll be doing more of these as I go through this kind of mini cut journey and walkthrough. And then if you have any questions, ask away in the comments, direct message me. Anyway, I'll talk to you soon.